started climbing when I was 17 years old. A friend of mine took me and some other friends to this bouldering gym. None of us had any experience with bouldering before and we didn't even know what it was. So we went to this place called City Monkey, we rented some shoes and we started climbing. Or rather bouldering, I should say. And what can I say? It was amazing. I've never done anything so cool in my life before. It was just pure joy. I fell in love with it.
And you could basically say it was love on first sight. So, love on sight?
Yeah, this was in 2002. So for the next 3 years, I went around once per month or every second month until the age of 20. Since I was still in school, I didn't have a lot of money, I couldn't afford to go so often. And I was a bit lazy, I must say. I even went climbing for around 3 or 4 times in total. But I didn't know anybody who was climbing and the climbing gym was really far away, so I only went bouldering. In 2006 I finished school. Then after that I had to do the community service for 9 months. I went to New Zealand for a year. After that I did an apprenticeship as a carpenter and basically I didn't climb at all in this time. In New Zealand I didn't climb at all because it was totally out of my mind. I was doing lots of other stuff but not climbing, and while I was working as a carpenter I was way too exhausted. I had just no energy left for climbing. Around 2011 I moved to Berlin with a very good friend. And I didn't really know what to do with my life. The only plan I had was to work in a climbing gym. I just had this vague memory of climbing in my head, which drew me to the idea to work in a climbing gym. So I started working at this climbing gym and I just got sucked right into the rabbit hole. It was magic. Suddenly I could climb for free and the gym was nearby, only 10 minutes by bike. And I fell in love twice, with climbing again and with my future wife.
Love on sight?
Until then I was a rather shy guy and I didn't really talk that much. I didn't know what I wanted in life and I didn't know what made me happy. But as I started working in this climbing gym and I climbed more and more, it kinda changed me. It made me happy and it changed me as a person. I was talking more, I was more outgoing, I had something I was good at. Not that it is really important that you have something you're good at, but it kinda helped me back then. And I met a lot of new people and they were all into climbing like me. So for the next 3 years I climbed like 3 times a week. I didn't do any extra training, I only climbed. And that was all that mattered. After working there for around half a year, I also started working as a route setter. And I made relatively fast progress in route climbing. I had strong climbers to look up to in my peer group and I had a good base physiology, but also because of prior bouldering experience. Within the first year of climbing, I could red point up to 7B+. Within the second year, I reached 7C, 7C+, and within the third year, I reached a solid 7C+, and I built a foundation of routes that was semi-hard for me, but it was only indoors. Outdoors, I was evolving rather slow, and I didn't really climb hard routes for many reasons. The closest climbing area from Berlin is Frankenjura, and Frankenjura made me improve my footwork due to slippery and small footholds, and I was scared a lot, and I didn't go too often. Until 2014 I reached only around about 7A+, and it was not until 2018 that I could climb my first 7C, 7C+ in Frankenjura. This rather pockety and compact rock didn't really suit me that well. Mallorca suited me way better, and I red pointed routes up to 7B, 7B+, or maybe 7C in 2014. I participated in fun route climbing competitions as well in Berlin and Dresden, and I gained a lot of experience, for example climbing under pressure. Since I climbed a lot in such a short time, and I put a lot of stress on my tendons, I had my first major injury at the beginning of 2015, the golfer's elbow. I ignored it for a couple of months because I was too addicted to climbing and didn't want to stop. But when I had a lot of pain in my everyday life, I knew I had to take a break. So I stopped climbing from February 2015 for around 3 months in total. I was devastated. I was grumpy nearly the whole time, since I couldn't climb. Also, I didn't have the motivation to train other areas of my body, which relate to climbing, such as core or finger strength or legs or anything. I didn't see the point in it. I just wanted to climb and not train, which I see a bit different nowadays. In September 2015 I went to Sierra Nevada with some friends and I climbed a lot of 7A, 7A+, which was a good compensation for the first half of the year with nearly no climbing at all. So 2015 went by and I gained confidence for the upcoming winter to be able to climb a lot again. I started to work on a new project in my gym, which was around 8A or 8A+, which I managed to climb in mid-2016 after around 5 months and a lot of tries. And I was super happy with it. We went to Mallorca again and I climbed a lot of 7B, 7B+, 7C, but much quicker than the previous years. The number of attempts I needed on semi-hard or hard routes like 7B plus or 7C went down a lot, and I even managed to flash some of them, which was a confident booster. In May 2017, Adam Ondra came to our gym due to a kind of a Adam Ondra tour where he visited a lot of gyms, I guess even worldwide, I don't know, and I was super excited to see such an elite athlete climbing in our gym. He climbed a route which was specifically set for him, something like 8C, 8C+. He failed on his Onsight but nearly managed to climb it on his second try. Of course, I wanted to try the route a couple of days later and to see how hard 8C, 8C+ actually was for me. And it felt hard, super hard. Couldn't even do all the moves hard. Out of all the moves in this route, I could do around 20%. It was a very interesting experience, which made me realize how huge a gap between 8A, 8A+, and 8C, 8C+ actually was. Of course, the route was set for him and his height by a pro route setter, Christian Bindhammer, and since I'm just 165, I couldn't even span all the moves. Either I was too weak or there just weren't enough footholds to gain height, especially on the move from a big undercling. In 2017, my girlfriend and I married, secretly, yay! And we went on a 3-month trip through Europe for leisure and climbing. The first stop was Frankenjura, where I had an open project, hitchhiked the plane, which is around 7C, 7C+, which I couldn't finish. Later on we went to Rodea in Spain and we stayed there a bit longer. Before the trip I mostly climbed day or couple of day projects, and since we didn't stay that long in one climbing area before, and it was way more important for me to climb as many routes as possible, I didn't spend any time on hard routes. Therefore outside I never really tried anything on my limit, except for hitchhike the plane, which I would say was my first proper project. This mentality changed on this trip since we stayed longer in one area and I felt rather comfortable climbing outside due to the many routes I climbed in the past. I chose a 7C+, which was my hardest project outside so far. It was this really long overhanging tufa route with a long move in the upper third of the route, which was the real crux for me. After many days of trying the route with quite some frustration and mental battle, I finally managed to clip the anchor, which felt super incredible. The not so incredible part was cleaning the route, since it was long and overhanging. Ugh. I also managed to flash 2 7B+ routes in one day, which was the first time ever, which made me super happy. Time and we went on and the trip was quite successful for me and changed my perspective to try harder routes outside and get into longer projects. In September and October 2017 I went bouldering outside, which was actually my second time bouldering outside in total. In 2006 I climbed in Fontainebleau with some friends, but I didn't know anything about grades or a topo or anything. I was just bouldering what looked nice and what my friends told me to climb. It was really fun. But since it was only one day each time, I didn't really have any experience with outdoor bouldering. I only climbed day projects up to 6C, 6C+. In May 2018 we went to Leonidio in Greece, which is a super nice place. It's very quiet and the people are very nice there. We stayed there for 1 week, and in this week I tried the 7C, which felt super hard for me and I couldn't finish it. But therefore I managed to climb my first 8A outside on the second go. Climbing grades are weird sometimes, but that's a topic for another episode. When we came back, we took some rest days, grew some skin on our fingertips back, and kind of went straight to Frankenjura to try my project again, which I could finally redpoint. Because we loved it so much in Leonidio, we went again in October and I managed to climb the 7C, which I couldn't climb the first time. And I actually climbed my first 8A+ outside, which made me super happy. But it feels like the grades in Leonidio are a bit easier than in other climbing areas. 2018 went by, 2019 came, and my wife got pregnant. Yay! 2019 we went to Frankenjura for 5 times, because I wanted to find a proper project for me. After some trial and error in some routes, I found Polymorphy, an 8A+, which suits me quite well, which isn't always the case in Frankenjura, since the routes are quite special there. They are very pockety and they sometimes have hard stopper moves, at least for me. Up to now I couldn't finish the route, because in September 2019 our son was born, which turned everything upside down. Since then there is way less time to climb, and the organization to find time to climb increased a lot. I guess everyone who has kids can relate. So there was nearly no climbing throughout the winter, and I spent most of the time home training. I did actually do a lot of hangboarding for the first time, which was really good. In February 2020 we went to Leonidio again, and we planned to stay 5 weeks with some friends. But due to Corona we had to stay a tiny bit longer. It was 12 weeks in total. Although we stayed that long, the climbing days were still quite limited, and I was relying on my friends to belay me, which turned out to be quite difficult due to many reasons. Therefore, I couldn't really look for a long hard project, so I chose projects which took me a few tries. I managed to climb 1 8A, 3 7C+, 1 7C, some 7V and V+, which I was still very happy about since I could climb at least a little bit. We came back at the end of May and we went to Franken 1 month later already. I tried my project Polymorphy. I had one really good go, but I messed up the middle part and I didn't have time for another go. In September we went again and I had an even better go, but my left finger popped out of the mono in the upper crux, which was kind of sad, but that's how it is sometimes. Since then there was only gym climbing, and I suffered another injury due to a way too hard training plan. I inflamed my left bicep tendon or something like this, which makes it painful to lock the left arm. So I stopped climbing in November due to the corona lockdown, and I took an injury break. In November and December I didn't train at all, I just had no motivation. Now we're in 2021 and I started to train again. As you can see in my other video, I'm starting to train on the front lever. I also do some handstand, some antagonist training. I cannot do any finger training for now, but as soon as my finger is healed, I will start again. And I will keep you updated with the progress of the front lever and the other exercises. I guess all I'm trying to say is that I'm really grateful that my friend took me and some other friends to this bouldering gym back then, because he introduced me to climbing and it has become a really big part of my life, and I'm really passionate about it. It has changed me a lot, and I wanted to be a part of my life until the sweet end. And maybe I can share some of this passion with you about route climbing, bouldering, route setting, training, the mental game, and all that other stuff that relates to climbing. So that's it. Bye bye.